We live in a world where people will misunderstand you, disrespect you, betray you, envy you, disappoint you, lie to you, and sometimes break your heart. The greatest illusion we're taught is that peace comes from controlling others, that if people would just behave, speak, and love us the right way, we'd finally be okay. But that's not power, that's dependence, and dependence is where suffering begins. Freedom does not come from controlling others. Freedom comes from no longer being controlled by them. So how do you do it? How do you become untouchable? Not by hardening, but by awakening. Not by escaping people, but by rising above them, without superiority, without arrogance, but with unshakable inner clarity. Let's begin. This is the first law of inner freedom, and perhaps the most radical shift you'll ever make. What you feel is not caused by others. It is caused by your interpretation of what others do. At first, this may feel confronting, because we've been conditioned to believe the opposite, that people make us angry, hurt us, disappoint us, invalidate us. But the truth is harder, and far more empowering. No one controls your inner world unless you hand them the keys. Imagine two people receive the same insult. One collapses, spirals into self-doubt, takes it personally. The other shrugs and laughs. Same words, different reaction. Why? Because emotion is not born in the event. Emotion is born in the meaning you assign to the event. That's what Gandhi meant when he said, "Nobody can hurt me without my permission." He wasn't suggesting apathy. He was revealing the secret of emotional sovereignty. The moment you internalize this, your life begins to change. You stop being a puppet pulled by every insult, rejection, or misunderstanding. You stop reacting like a wound and start responding like a whole person. When someone disrespects you, you can feel anger, but that anger is yours. It doesn't belong to them. They didn't put it inside you. They stimulated something already present in your psyche, a belief, a wound, a memory, an expectation. That's why it stings. But here's the liberating part. If you can trace the pain back to its source, you can stop being ruled by it. I felt worthless because I already feared I was. I felt rejected because I still tie my value to being chosen. I felt insulted because I still believe I need to prove something. And now, you're no longer helpless. You're awake. You're observing. You're choosing. Your mind is not a democracy. Not everyone gets a vote. Not every opinion deserves a place in your nervous system. Yet most people live as though the whole world is constantly voting on their worth. But you are not running for office. You are not on trial. You are a sovereign being. The moment you stop asking, "Why did they do that to me?" and start asking, "Why did that affect me so deeply?" you begin to take your power back. One of the greatest shifts in emotional intelligence and personal freedom happens the moment you fully internalize this truth. The way someone treats you is not a mirror of your worth. It is a reflection of their wounds. We are conditioned from an early age to personalize everything. When someone ignores us, we wonder what we did wrong. When someone lashes out, we blame ourselves for provoking it. But what if none of that was ever about you? If someone belittles you, it often reveals their own sense of inadequacy. If someone betrays you, it often reflects their emotional immaturity, fear of vulnerability, or addiction to short-term validation. If someone ghosts you, it speaks to their emotional cowardice. These behaviors don't define you, they define them. You were simply present when their dysfunction needed somewhere to land. Understanding this isn't about excusing harmful behavior, it's about decoding it. It's about seeing clearly. This wasn't an accurate reflection of me, this was a projection of them. And when you begin to decode people's actions through this lens, something extraordinary happens. You stop internalizing insults as truth. You stop accepting rejection as personal failure. You stop letting abandonment become your identity. You become less reactive, not because you're numb, but because you understand. Behind every cold shoulder is a nervous system shaped by fear. Behind every controlling partner is a child who once felt powerless. Behind every cruel remark is often a person who was never allowed to speak kindly to themselves. This doesn't make their actions okay, but it makes them understandable. And when something becomes understandable, it becomes less invasive to your soul. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Marcus Aurelius. People are walking stories. Most haven't read their own pages. They react from wounds they never named, fears they never explored, beliefs they never questioned. And yet we let these unconscious beings decide how we see ourselves. It's time to stop. You are not someone's projection. You are not their unfinished business. You are not their mother, their ex, their failure, their regret, or their enemy. You are you, and only you get to decide what that means. Every time someone mistreats you, you have two choices. Take it personally, make it about your value, and spiral into self-doubt. See it for what it is, a symptom of their wound, and choose not to absorb it. The latter is power. The latter is freedom. The latter is the beginning of emotional sovereignty. When someone disrespects you, it's tempting to think, what did I do wrong? Instead, ask, what inside them needed to hurt someone today? And why did I think that had anything to do with me? You are not responsible for healing others through your suffering. You are not required to make sense of their chaos by internalizing it. The more you understand that people are acting from their own unhealed places, the less you'll tie their behavior to your identity. And that is when you become untouchable. Not because you've hardened, but because you finally remembered, their wounds are not my truth, and I don't need to carry what was never mine. If you want peace, if you want sovereignty, if you want to stop being emotionally hijacked by others, this is where it begins. Reactivity is the enemy of freedom. Every time you react without awareness, you hand your power over to the external world. You become a puppet, pulled by tone, mood, opinion, rejection, praise, disapproval. And yet most of us are taught to live in reaction. Someone insults you, you snap back. Someone ignores you, you spiral into anxiety. Someone disagrees, you raise your defenses. Someone loves you, and suddenly you need them to complete you. But reactivity isn't emotion. It's unconsciousness in motion. To be reactive is to live in chains. To be aware is to live with choice. So how do you do it? This is the golden rule of emotional freedom. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power. Train yourself to delay your response even by just 3 seconds. Feel the urge to react and don't. Let the emotion rise and then let it settle before you speak, decide, or act. This moment of pause is what separates the self-aware from the self-destructive. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an emotional one. When someone criticizes or triggers you, your body often reacts as if you're under physical attack. So before your ego jumps in to defend, breathe deeply, consciously. Tell your body, we're not in danger, we're in dialogue. Because if your body is in fight or flight, your mind will follow. But if you ground your breath, you reclaim control of the narrative. What's actually happening, and what am I projecting onto it? Someone rolls their eyes. Do you know they're judging you? Or is your old insecurity filling in the blanks? Someone sets a boundary. Are they rejecting you, or just protecting their space? Most reactivity is not to the moment itself, but to the story you attach to it. When you pause to ask this question, you break the trance of ego. You start seeing truth, not projection. The difference between reactivity and wisdom is curiosity, instead of, how dare they say that? Try, what makes them see it that way? Instead of, I have to defend myself now. Try, what part of me feels threatened and why? Reactivity protects the ego. Curiosity heals the wound. The moment you replace anger with observation, something shifts. You stop being the character in the drama and become the director of your own emotional state. Non-reactivity is not about being numb, it's about being conscious. It's not about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming emotionally free. Each time you choose reflection over retaliation, choose silence over impulse, choose understanding over ego, you rewire your nervous system. You teach your body, we don't need to react to survive anymore. We're safe here. We're strong here. We decide what enters our space. Reactivity is how you become a prisoner of other people's chaos. Non-reactivity is how you become immune to it. Every time you pause, breathe, reflect, you reclaim energy that used to leak into battles that never needed to be fought. You're not here to be a mirror of others. You're here to be a center, grounded, clear, and free. And the more you practice this, the more you become someone that nothing can shake, because you've trained your nervous system to belong to you. One of the deepest, most persistent sources of emotional suffering is this quiet, aching belief. If I'm kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, eventually they'll treat me right. But this is not love. It's emotional bargaining. And more often than not, it's a form of self-abandonment dressed up as loyalty. You're not setting boundaries. You're running an unconscious experiment. If I absorb their bad behavior without complaint, maybe they'll realize I deserve better. This isn't virtue. It's manipulation in the name of hope. And it rarely works. Real strength isn't about how much mistreatment you can endure while still smiling. Real strength is saying, "These are my boundaries. You are free to choose your behavior, and I am free to choose my distance." You don't need to yell. You don't need to justify. You don't need to deliver a TED Talk on emotional intelligence to someone who isn't ready to grow. You simply exit the space that dishonors your peace, with calm, with clarity, with your soul intact. A boundary is not an ultimatum. It's not an attempt to change someone. It's a clear statement about what you will and will not allow into your life. It's not about controlling their actions. It's about controlling your access point to harm. I don't tolerate being spoken to like that. If you disappear without communication, I will no longer stay available. If you violate my trust again, I won't argue. I'll simply disengage. You don't say these things to punish. You say them to protect. This is the part that most people resist. You have to let people reveal themselves, and they will. Some will meet your boundary with respect. Some will test it. Some will mock it. Some will leave. Let them. Let them walk. Let them push. Let them show you what you need to see. Boundaries don't drive people away. They show you who was never really with you. And your job is no longer to interpret the warning signs. Your job is to believe them the first time. One of the most radical acts of self-love is realizing, I don't have to justify why something hurts me. If it hurts me, it's enough. You don't need their permission to honor your limits. You don't need them to agree with your standards. You don't need to prove that someone's behavior was bad enough to walk away. If your peace is disturbed, if your trust is broken, if your body contracts in their presence, that's enough. That is your signal. That is your data. That is your permission slip. You are not required to suffer in the name of love. You are not obligated to stay in places where you're consistently disrespected, dismissed, or drained. You don't need to become the emotional parent for people who refuse to grow up. You can love people and still walk away. You can forgive people and still enforce distance. You can hope for their healing and still choose yours, because your peace is sacred, and the moment you stop defending it, the world will treat it like it's optional. Don't scream, don't beg, don't break yourself trying to be enough for someone who can't meet you. Just walk away, quietly, clearly, powerfully, and in doing so, you teach the world and yourself exactly what you're worth. This is the invisible wound that lives beneath almost all emotional suffering, and yet most people never name it. If they treated me this way, maybe it means something about me. If they ghosted me, criticized me, betrayed me, left me, maybe I deserved it. Why does their opinion hurt? Why does their silence feel like abandonment? Why does their rejection feel like a verdict? Because somewhere deep inside, perhaps beneath the level of words, a voice still whispers, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not lovable. Maybe I am broken. This is the true source of pain, not the behavior itself, but your interpretation of what it says about you. People can only touch a wound that already exists. If you didn't have the wound, their words would fall flat. Their absence wouldn't shatter you. Their judgment wouldn't define you. You're not hurt by what they did. You're hurt by what you believed it confirmed about yourself. Until that changes, you will keep handing strangers the authority to write your identity. Here's the shocking truth. Your subconscious is always looking for evidence that your beliefs are right, even if they hurt. If you believe you're not enough, you'll interpret silence as proof. If you believe you're unlovable, you'll twist kindness into manipulation. If you believe you're broken, you'll find a way to make rejection your fault. And the worst part, you'll call this self-awareness. But it's not. It's self-abandonment in disguise. The moment you realize that you are not obligated to believe every interpretation your wounded mind offers you, you begin to wake up. Someone ghosts you. Instead of spiraling into, I'm not worth staying for, you pause and say, this says more about their emotional capacity than my value. Someone criticizes you. Instead of absorbing the blow as truth, you ask, is this about me or about their standards, pain, or projections? Someone rejects you. Instead of taking it as a cosmic judgment, you say, I don't need to be chosen to be valuable. This is not denial. It's mature emotional filtration. You're not avoiding the facts. You're choosing your truth over someone else's chaos. The goal is not to be unaffected because you don't feel. The goal is to be unaffected because you now trust yourself more than you trust their behavior. You've done the work. You've questioned the internal lies. You've dismantled the inherited shame. You've stood in the fire and realized, I don't burn, I become light. What they do reflects them. What I believe reflects me, and you now believe in your worth, not conditionally, not occasionally, but unshakably, because it no longer depends on how others treat you. You were never meant to live in fear of being unloved. You were never meant to assign your identity to the moods and projections of others. You were never meant to hand the mirror of your self-worth to people who don't know how to see clearly. You are not what they did. You are not what they failed to do. You are not their silence, their cruelty, their absence, or their misunderstanding. You are what you choose to believe about yourself, and when that belief is rooted in truth, no rejection, no betrayal, no insult will ever be able to shake it again. That is what it means to be free, not immune to pain, but immune to false meaning. And in that space, you don't just survive relationships, you transcend them. The word indifference has a bad reputation. We confuse it with apathy, with arrogance, with numbness. But true indifference, conscious, spiritual, dignified indifference, is none of these. It is not bitterness. It is not detachment born of trauma. It is not a mask to hide your wounds. Indifference, when rooted in self-awareness, is not a rejection of connection. It is a rejection of dependence. It's not that you don't care. It's that you care differently now, without neediness, without control, without losing yourself. Indifference says, you don't have to like me, I like me. You can misunderstand me, I understand myself. You can walk away, I will remain whole. You can betray me, but you will never rewrite who I am. This isn't a defense mechanism. It's the result of deep internal alignment. The quiet, unshakable truth that you no longer rely on external confirmation to feel worthy. A cold heart says, I don't need anyone. An indifferent soul says, I choose who gets access to me. One is trauma, the other is mastery. This is where your energy stops leaking into places where love is conditional, communication is manipulative, or attention is inconsistent. You no longer chase closure, validation, or explanation. Why? Because you've outgrown the need to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Indifference does not mean you feel superior. It means you're no longer hypnotized by approval, guilt, or shame. You don't collapse when they withdraw affection. You don't change your values just to maintain peace. You don't orbit around people who treat you like an afterthought. You stand still, anchored in your own worth, and let others move as they please. Some will rise to meet you, others will fade away. But you remain centered, intact, unshaken. Indifference is spiritual posture. It says, I can love you and let you go. I can forgive you and never invite you back. I can hear your opinion and still trust my truth. I can be alone and still feel full. This is not withdrawal from life. It's a deeper engagement with it. One where you no longer abandon yourself to be chosen, to be praised, or to avoid discomfort. You stop needing to win people. You stop needing to prove anything. You stop needing to rescue relationships that were built on your silence. True indifference isn't hard. It's soft, spacious, and unburdened. It is the natural state that emerges once you stop outsourcing your worth to the emotional chaos of others. It is not a wall to block love. It is a filter to protect it, to ensure that your love is given where it can grow, not where it gets drained. And once you live from that place, no rejection will make you question your value. No betrayal will define your story. No absence will make you forget what you deserve. Because finally, you're not waiting to be seen. You've already seen yourself, and you've decided that's enough. Most pain doesn't destroy us in the moment it happens. It haunts us in the moments that follow. We replay what they said. We re-feel how they made us feel. We pre-play the next scenario, imagining rejection, abandonment, humiliation, judgment, before it ever arrives. And in doing so, we abandon the only place where peace ever truly lives, the present moment. The now is the only place where you are safe, the only place where no betrayal exists, the only place where you are not being judged, not being left, not being hurt. You are simply here. The human mind is addicted to time. It jumps to the past. Why did they do that to me? Then flings itself into the future. What if it happens again? But rarely, almost never, does it rest in the now. Because the ego thrives on stories, and the present moment is storyless. It's simple, still, neutral, which terrifies a mind that has learned to survive through overthinking and prediction. The more time you spend outside the now, the more you suffer from events that are no longer happening, or may never happen at all. The antidote to mental chaos isn't solving it, it's stepping out of it, by returning to the body. Right now, try it. Come back to your breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale without force. Feel your hands, your legs, the weight of your body on the earth. Listen to the room, to the silence, to your pulse. In this exact moment, is anything wrong? Am I actually being hurt, or am I remembering pain? Is there anything I truly lack right now, or is that just a thought? Here, in this breath, in this second, you are whole. You are not being abandoned. You are not being judged. You are not being manipulated. You are simply alive. No one else can enter your now, unless you bring them in with your mind. That person who betrayed you, they live in memory. That person who might hurt you next week, they live in imagination. That entire emotional storm you're preparing for, it exists nowhere but in thought. The now is untouched by all of that. And when you rest here, even for a moment, you reclaim your nervous system. You interrupt the story. You return to your center. Presence is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice, a mental discipline, a sacred habit. The more you return to it, the more your mind learns to calm down. The more your body learns that it's safe. The more your identity shifts from being the one who was hurt to the one who is here now. And that shift is everything. Because when you are present, you are not just free from the past. You are free to create a future that isn't ruled by it. Your power isn't in rewriting the past. It isn't in predicting the future. It's in reclaiming the moment you're in. This breath, this thought, this heartbeat, because here, right now, no one's betrayal exists. No one's judgment is playing. No old version of you is running the show. Only you exist, aware, grounded, enough. And the more time you spend in this place, the less you live in anyone's shadow. This is where you meet the truth of yourself, not as a reaction to what they did, but as the quiet, indestructible center of who you truly are. And in this place, you are finally free. Imagine this. You are Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, ruler of the greatest empire in the ancient world. Your face is stamped on coins. Your words shape laws. Your decisions shift the fate of nations. And yet someone insults you. A senator whispers that you're weak. A rival mocks your calmness. A crowd jeers, forgetting the weight you carry. The entire empire watches. Will the emperor retaliate? Will he punish? Will he erupt with power? But Marcus doesn't shout. He doesn't imprison. He doesn't humiliate the offender. He pauses, reflects, and calmly says, "You've said what you believe. I will respond with what I believe, and I believe I am free." This is not a moment of weakness. It's a moment of absolute inner dominance, because true power is not reaction, it is restraint. Marcus Aurelius understood a truth that most people never realize. What people do to you reveals who they are. How you respond reveals who you are. Most of us live under a false idea of power. We think control means dominating others, silencing criticism, winning arguments. But Marcus knew better. He knew the only thing you truly control is your own mind, your judgment, your inner atmosphere. And so he trained it, day after day, not with brute force, but with philosophy, with reflection, with silence. He wrote, not for fame, but for clarity. His private journal, now known as Meditations, was a battlefield of the soul. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Imagine someone throwing a dagger of insult at you. Most people catch it and stab themselves with it. They internalize the words, replay the scene, craft mental arguments, bleed for days. But a Stoic lets the dagger fall to the ground. He sees it for what it is, an opinion, a projection, a moment, not the truth. That is the difference between being ruled by the world and ruling yourself. People mistake Stoicism for emotional numbness, but it's not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of mastery. It says, "You may try to provoke me. I will not burn. You may abandon me. I will not collapse. You may misunderstand me. I will not distort myself to be understood." This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty, the refusal to become emotionally enslaved to others' behavior. You don't have to be an emperor to be a Stoic. You only have to be willing to not take the bait. Every day, you are given micro moments. Someone criticizes you. Can you stay calm? Someone ignores your message. Can you remain secure? Someone betrays your trust. Can you grieve and not lash out? These are not minor battles. They are opportunities to become invincible. You already have a Marcus Aurelius within you, the part of you that knows the difference between what matters and what distracts, between your peace and their noise. Every time you resist the urge to defend your ego, every time you choose clarity over chaos, every time you return to stillness instead of spiraling, you become unshakable. And that's what Marcus knew. The real war is not with others. It is with the part of you that still believes you must fight to prove your worth. The moment you stop fighting and start standing, you win. Other people's actions are data, not destiny. Their opinions are noise, not truth. Their approval is nice, but not necessary. You do not exist to be decoded, fixed, loved, or validated by others. You exist to be yourself fully, and to surround yourself with those who see your light without asking you to dim it. And those who can't, let them pass through you like wind through an open window. True power is not control. True power is self-possession. From that place, nothing anyone does to you can define you. Because you've remembered the truth. I am the only one who decides what I feel. I am the only one who decides who I am. And that makes you untouchable.